Всем привет, добрый день, guys. Good afternoon. It's a lovely, beautiful Sunday afternoon from a snowy Minsk. Yes, the 26th of November. We have snow and it is very, very cold today. Extremely cold. Winter is here. It has arrived. And yeah, bring it on, as they say. Beautiful part of the world to be in here, right here in Park Druzhby Narodov. Very nice place. Yeah, I like taking a stroll here on a Sunday afternoon. Some people say that might look very desolate, but trust me, it is a beautiful winter scene. Well, what does this sign here say? Ostorozhno Kabel. So what's happening here in this part of Minsk is that they're building the metro. They're extending the Green Line. So I'll have 2 metro stations in my neighborhood. Not bad, huh? Anyway guys, apologies for the absence. I haven't uploaded much over the last month, and because of that I've been extremely busy with work and life right now at the moment. I was in the process of writing 2 scripts for 2 upcoming videos. However, I got sidetracked by events from home. Now, I don't normally comment on the news coming from my homeland in Ireland, but given the amount of messages that I received from you guys, they asked me for a comment on the big news in Dublin. That was, of course, the riots that took place in the early hours of Friday morning, just gone. I woke up on Friday morning to the news of some of the worst riots that Dublin has witnessed in perhaps nearly 40 years. The last time probably was during the hunger strike protests in 1981, 1982, sometime around that. And my newsfeed was cluttered with headlines from back home. So NBC News: riots erupt in Dublin after young children are stabbed. Police blamed far-right agitators for starting the violence after a small group of anti-immigrant protesters arrived at the scene of the stabbing attack and clashed with police, the Garda Síochána. Also from the BBC: Dublin riot, huge destruction after school stabbing leads to 34 arrests. And then we have the Taoiseach, the Irish Prime Minister Leo Varadkar, has said that approximately 500 people were involved in the riot, and he has vowed to catch each and every single one of these rioters. And yeah, very tumultuous events coming from back home. A lot of change, in particular over the last 10 to 15 years. We're now witnessing mass migration coming into Ireland from other parts of the European Union and of course from across the world. And this is a very, very interesting headline from Saturday's Irish Times. According to the last census, the number of non-Irish citizens usually resident in Ireland rises to 12% of the population. Now, for a country like Ireland that up to quite recently was largely ethnic homogenous, this is actually quite a big shock. And yeah, this is, as I said, a big shock. A lot of people from back home, not normally used to seeing people coming from other parts of the world, other cultures, and this has given fear to a lot of people of who, where and what exactly we are leaving into the country. Yeah, some interesting headlines, of course, especially from Chebos, a Dubliner who works for RT in Moscow. Some rather interesting takes. And yeah, that it was a Deliveroo driver from Brazil who stopped the Dublin city knife attacker. This is a guy from Algeria who had been resident in Ireland for 20 years. And he said, "I'm an immigrant, but I was there to protect Irish people." And Tiao is his name, from Brazil. And over 200,000 euros has been raised for him to buy a pint. I'm sure he'll buy a lot of pints for 200,000 euros. Let's go to a couple of points that I want to mention from two tweets. The first one from a guy, Conor McGregor, who you know very well, the champion MMA fighter. And this is exactly what he said. Despicable scenes last night in Dublin city centre, people looting shops amidst the anger and rage Ireland has for many failed policies of the government. Well, let's get straight into this. Has the regime ever had even one successful policy? Actually, no. I'm very hard trying to think of one policy that the current Irish government has got absolutely correct. They're currently building right now the children's hospital, and already that's turning into a disaster. It's cost overruns, etc. So health service in a shambles, absolutely. The latest headline from this morning's Ireland on Sunday newspaper has admitted we have a very, very chronic healthcare problem. I'll give you an example. Two weeks ago, I had a health scare. I went to a hospital here in Minsk, a state hospital, and in under 2 hours I saw two specialists. I had an x-ray, CT scan, and I was discharged from hospital in under 2 hours, and it cost me absolutely zero. So you can imagine that happening in Ireland. Not very likely, I'm afraid, unfortunately. I referenced a video from a Moldovan lady who was living in Ireland, Anna Maria Ursan, in a previous video that I made. She spent over 23 hours in an Irish hospital waiting to be treated and to be seen by a number of doctors. Abominable housing crisis, absolutely spot on. The latest figures have shown that there are approximately 13,000 homeless people in Ireland. What else? Immigration wide open. Yeah, absolutely agree. I am all for immigration, but there has to be a purpose, sense of purpose to it, not just leave anybody and everybody into the country. We can lambast these wasters looting and damaging our streets last night, and we will, but when it passes, the spotlight shines again firmly on the many all failed policies of the Irish government. We are awaiting action. The families of those grieving are waiting. We will not forget. You will brush this under the rug. We stand with those in mourning. Make change or make way for Aisling. Yeah, this is a reference to another case that took place in Ireland about 2 weeks ago, a week or two ago, where a young Irish girl was stabbed to death by an immigrant from Slovakia. So yeah, very, very interesting. A take there from Conor McGregor. I normally have very little time for the guy, but on this issue I think he is absolutely spot on. It's not hard to disagree with anything of what he has said in the actual tweet there. And another point that I want to bring up, this time it is a statement from the IRSP, the Irish Republican Socialist Party. They brought out a statement, I think it was on Friday or Saturday, yesterday, and here we go. The IRSP will begin by offering our sympathies to the victims of yesterday's incident on Parnell Street. This is in reference to the young 5-year-old girl who was stabbed by the Algerian immigrant, and also to others as well who were caught up in the incident, and of course for the shop owners whose property was destroyed by the looters. On the events that followed, policy on who enters Ireland should be straightforward. The reason that we find this issue becoming a source of conflict in Ireland and throughout Europe is because of the migration policy that is driven by those who wish to profit from it. Now, this is actually a very, very good point that they have made in this statement. And what this means is the following. The migration flows to Europe are caused by the multiple invasions and the proxy wars by numerous Western governments, Western imperialism. And we can point to the invasion of Iraq, which completely destabilized the Middle East. We can point to the bombing invasions of Yugoslavia in the 1990s, proxy wars in Syria and Libya, which facilitated the movement of millions of migrants. People caught up in these wars, heading straight to Europe. And now, of course, currently, right now, is the NATO proxy war in Ukraine. So those in control aren't concerned with the well-being of the people who already reside here, or those here themselves. This gives rise to inevitable tension. Absolutely, that is what we are seeing right now. We understand that many people have genuine issues with the current scale and nature of the Irish state's policy on migration. Yeah, again, trying to dismiss the concerns of working class people throughout Dublin and Ireland as racists for bringing up this policy on mass migration simply will not cut it. This is what they're saying. However, the scenes witnessed in Dublin have already occurred on a much grander scale throughout Europe and have changed nothing. Yeah, absolutely. We've seen this right across Europe, in France and Germany and Italy. So, and now Ireland is now witnessing these events, as I mentioned, caused by these Western proxy wars throughout the Middle East, North Africa and Eastern Europe as well. They are destabilizing Europe, especially the war in Ukraine is politically and economically destabilizing Europe. Okay, let's move on then. So, anti-immigrant parties have won elections and changed nothing. Ireland will be no different. Even in the event of more restrictive policies, the crises in housing, healthcare, poverty, etc. will remain unchanged. Absolutely, this is the knockout blow. What they mean by this is that the anti-immigrant parties, the far right of Geert Wilders in Holland, Giorgia Meloni, we have Nigel Farage in the UK, they are actually part and parcel of the system. They are symbiotic of the system. They serve as an indirect spigot by the political establishment in Ireland and in Europe of controlling the populace. So what they will do in many cases, they will exploit a situation like this for their own means, offering very little or nothing to the local populace. These parties, for example, the Irish National Party, people like Justin Barrett and such, they will not address the underlying issues of housing, homelessness, public alienation, atomization of Irish society. And this is giving rise to what Karl Marx called a lumpen proletization of the working class. Significant sections of the working class back home simply do not vote because they do not feel that they have a stake in their society. And what we're seeing on the streets is, of course, this disaffected youth and the lumpen proletariat basically lashing out at society because they feel that they have they have no more stake left in their society as such. And of course, these people, the far right, they will exploit this. And the government, of course, the political establishment will also exploit this for their own purposes. So that is my comment on the events in Dublin from last Friday. Yeah, so that is my comment, guys. So I hope that will satisfy all you guys who sent me messages. I got tons of messages asking me for my opinion. Some people saying that I shouldn't comment on events from back home, but you know, I am Irish. I was born, I grew up there, I spent most part of my life there. Yeah, and yeah, I haven't been back home in nearly 4 years, but it is my homeland. It is who I am, it's where I'm from. I hold the citizenship and the passport of Ireland. So yeah, I do have a right to my opinion, expressing my opinion as such. All right, but anyway, that's all I've got to say about the events back home. I will be uploading more content. Sorry, I was sidetracked by the events from back home. But anyway, that is it from today, guys, from Minsk. A very, very snowy Minsk, 26th November. Hope I got my dates right. On a Sunday afternoon, just gone 3 p.m. Absolutely beautiful. Yeah. Okay. It is freezing cold, it has to be said. Alright guys, so let's leave it at that for today. And stay tuned. And I shall see you very, very soon. Oh, my face is absolutely freezing cold. Okay, that is it guys. So from Minsk, it is do svidaniya, do встречи, do побачення, and Slán go fóill. Take care. Bye bye.